back, everyone. This is Grilled of the Diaspora, and I am your host, Nakaira G. And today, I just received some news a few weeks ago that apparently Ghana's government is proposing, suggesting, ideating over the idea of charging $250,000 for a residence permit in Ghana. Let's talk about it. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, a video circulated of the Minister of Interior of Ghana sharing suggestions to a new economic and political move for foreigners seeking residential permits in the country. Though his remarks were meant as suggestions for a proposal, diaspora groups definitely started to voice their demands and questions and concerns when this video started to circulate.
I think that the time has come to commercialize it, and I want your support for that. You want to come and reside in Ghana, show us that you are coming to invest at least $250,000 into our economy. We'll charge you, maybe pay for 5 years before maybe we even give you a permanent resident. Pay us maybe $20,000 every year, pay us $5,000 so that we can use it to monitor, because even the resources for NIB to be able to do the background check, to be monitoring what the person is really here to do, is not there. And yet we are just busy. You come to my office, everything is manual, so I have to sign them. And they fake documents and put them together, and you have some of our own citizens aiding them and taking all sorts of money from there, and they just come and pay $6,000, and then we grant them residence in our country. And in a few years, they marry some few Ghanaians, they come back and say they want naturalization, and then we sign again. No, we want to streamline this thing and commercialize it, and make sure you want to come and stay. Yes, you are welcome, but show us that you are coming to invest in our country. You are coming to build business where our people will be able to get a job. Then, in exchange, we'll also give you the residence. But the way it is now, I sincerely think that we need to review. And here, we will also be looking that you help us, you support us.
According to the minister, last year alone, 8,000 Indians, 7,000 Chinese, and a number of Nigerians applied for Ghanaian residency permits. Yet, the government...
I want to kind of talk about this video just a little bit. So when I watched this video, obviously, it's very much so a suggestion, a thought, a what if, right? And it didn't seem like the African diaspora or the historical diaspora was really mentioned or protected within this commentary. And just for people listening, when you are on the continent and when people say foreigners, they talking about you too, okay? The word diaspora is not really used commonly amongst the continental Africans. In my experience, they're gonna call you a foreigner because that's what you are, okay? The emotional connection and heritage connection, it's not always a thing. It's not like this thing how we talk about it, how we talk about the diaspora. It's not like that. A lot of these, well, from my understanding, there's no African country other than Benin who actually has it written and codified into the constitution that the historical diaspora has a place within the country. Ghana does not have a constitutional law that actually recognizes the historical diaspora, for those of you who may not know that. And so an African diaspora organization, the HUG, they shared a response, as well as a press conference was hosted by Bontri Anyeti. You guys know him from the interview that I did with him. And so the press conference was transcribed by Seyram on his website, Afrocentric blog. So I will be using information from that blog. And so with the video, there is suggestions that, the government is I'm gonna give my commentary afterwards. In the video, you see that the government ministers are saying that they are now noticing that the way that foreigners are moving here in Ghana and how they are able to, maneuver their money and things like that, the government pretty much just feels like they're not benefiting from these foreigners being here. And so just for people who are not in Ghana, let me kind of give you the landscape of Ghana. I know that a lot of y'all think that the Black American demographic is like this big old demographic, but it's really not. We're really not. Not in terms of the people who live here, especially when you talk about the people that live here full time, right? We're not. The Turkish, the Indian, the Lebanese, the white, the Chinese, they are here in numbers. And they have a better system of welcoming each other into the country as well. And so I think that for me, I have always noticed how they did business. It was always very obvious the way that they did business and things like that. But I think it's really interesting that now in 2025, the government is saying that they want to regulate, the way that foreigners do business here, which I just would have thought that they would have done that decades ago. And so in the video, with the concept of the $250,000 for a residence permit, it also was stated that people will be able to pay like $20,000 a year to reach for the $250,000, and for that to be also a part of getting permanent residency. So there's an option for you to get permanent residency in Ghana instead of citizenship. And I would suggest some of y'all to look more into that rather than citizenship, but hey, whatever, do what you gotta do.
The average Ghanaian support this initiative. I first want to make a statement. I can only speak as an African American, that title that was given to us. But I want people to understand that we don't want to be heard. We want to be understood. But everybody thinks we're just making noise. And nobody really cares that we're making noise, which is why we don't get anywhere. Nobody really wants to understand us. Everybody wants to copy us. Everybody wants to mimic us. But nobody wants to understand who we are and what we've gone through.
Say what?
I understand if we're in this group, we are the only foreigners that come with money and drama. Because we're tied to this country. The Chinese man comes here, he comes to make money. Asian man, anybody who comes here outside of us, it's just coming to make money and make a better life, and also contribute to their nation. We have no nation. A nation owns us, but we don't have a nation. The majority of us are descendants from prisoners of war, and so therefore we are by right to return home. But that is something that I would say Ghana can fix, as I said before, through its education system. There's my son goes to schools here, and there is nothing in his history books that talks about, in detail, what happened in Ghana. It talks about how great Europe was, and all the contributions Europe made. It does not talk about what happened in Ghana. And I will never blame somebody for something they don't know or understand. But I will say, once you know, do better. And so part of that is education.
Right.
If I know the last president's talking about bringing in learning French now, and I think we need to add what really happened in this territory before it was called Ghana, because it was Gold Coast at the time. Right? And everybody here wasn't Ghanaian. Everybody here was Ewe, Ashanti, whatever. But Ghana is a line they drew out for us. That also needs to be expressed to the youth, because I'm pretty sure those who've gone to school here really don't understand me, because you were never told who I was. But we know all about Queen Elizabeth, a lot of it, in detail. and that doesn't make any sense.
But one of the reasons why a lot of diasporans felt very kind of offended by this video is because of the fact that foreigners are not being dissected into their categories. And so the diaspora felt like, you know, well, we were asked to come here. We are the diaspora. We are the historical diaspora. We have a completely different revenue and business opportunity, and we have a completely different experience in Ghana compared to the Turkish and the Lebanese, right? The Turkish and the Lebanese, they have the privileges of being able to have relationships with their governments. They are able to have relationships with manufacturers. Many of them still own things back in their countries, and that they are able to bring here and import into this country and then export the things here into their country back home. You know, so they have a completely different, well-oiled system that Black Americans just simply cannot get together. And so in a lot of ways, it's funny because in a lot of ways, I really admire the way that some of these foreigners, how they do business, the way that they welcome each other into the country, the way that they don't really seem to be trying to become millionaires and entrepreneurs off of helping people relocate, the way that they hire each other. When you go inside of an Indian restaurant, you will most likely see the owner, you will see the chef being Indian. When you go into Lebanese restaurants, you will see Lebanese people there. You will see the chef, who is usually Lebanese, and things like that. And I find that really admirable, you know, despite the neo-colonialism that may come from that and things like that. But I do admire the fact that they actually have like a better onboarding and relocation type of community compared to what Black Americans seem to be doing right now. No shade. But I also think that one of the things that was noted in the video is, like, you know, with a lot of these different foreigners, a lot of the money that foreigners make here, they will put into a bank back home. And so, for instance, let's say you have a restaurant here and you are making money in cedis. Obviously, cedis is the Ghana currency, right? Some people will turn that money into whatever currency that they want and then send that money to their bank overseas so that it doesn't even touch this country. Real quick, y'all, make sure you download my new ebook. It is a travel planner and journal. I made this about 1.5 years ago, and it's really, really cool. There are 10 different entries. So as you are on your travel journeys, make sure you download this ebook. It's only $10, and you can get it on my website today at nakedgoldonline.com. You can download it, you can print it, whatever works for you. Make sure you cop that today. Right? You have people who had B2B businesses, which is business to business type of entities, and they are still operating either off of dollars or off of their cultural currencies, right? So a Turkish person might be buying something from another Turkish person, and, you know, on a B2B type of thing, and they're going to use their own currency. And so again, that boosts their currency in their banks and their country's economy in a way that it wouldn't necessarily boost here. You have people who have hotel services, and like I said, all these different types of businesses, and the way that people handle the money and the money that does come into the country versus the money that goes out of the country, it is definitely a detriment to the country of Ghana for sure. And so, and even aside from that, you have a lot of foreign companies, a lot of Western companies, a lot of European, Arab companies where they will hire their own people, and they will hire their people that will match the salary of what they would usually pay them in their home countries. But then they will hire Ghanaians, and they will hire Ghanaians and pay Ghanaians a low salary and a low wage based off of what the common salary is around the country. So they may hire a Ghanaian and pay a Ghanaian 800 cedis a month, which is about $50-$60. And they will pay a Ghanaian that for the month. And then they will pay their own people $2,000 a month, right? You get what I'm saying? So there's a lot of those types of issues that I personally would think would be more important, because that affects the everyday Ghanaian who works for these different countries. I don't really understand where this $250,000 would be going if it were to be implemented. Just like how I don't know where all of the year of return money has gone. And so the HUG, they also sent out a document that basically shared their demands, their concerns, their perspectives on this whole thing and how they feel about it and things. But just like how I said about the real estate market with these $100,000, $200,000 houses, I mean, this is all I'm saying. This is all I'm saying. And like Dr. Heavenly from Married to Medicine be saying, I'm going to say it and I'm going to take it back, right? I'm going to say it and I'm going to take it back. I just hope people are aware of the type of people that they are attracting to the country. Because if you're trying to turn Ghana into Dubai and you're trying to attract a certain type of person, because the way that it comes off, in my personal opinion, and when I talk to people, the way that a lot of people feel is that we kind of feel like Ghana is basically saying we're not benefiting enough from y'all, so we want some richer people to come. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And I often have to also tell people, like, you have to remember that, like, unfortunately, we are considered foreigners to the country. So how they may feel about these Turkish people and all those people, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's equal to how they feel about us, because the Turkish are doing way more in the country than we are. I just can't tell if it's benefiting the country. But I do sometimes feel like there is this kind of like feeling like we didn't spend enough money here. We're not spending enough money. We're not giving away enough money and things like that. And a lot of people do feel like that, which is why a lot of people are leaving the country and going elsewhere or just going back home. But I do ask this question. If this proposal were to be taken seriously, which I don't really think that it is, but let's say it were to be taken seriously, who does this attract? Who can afford a $250,000 residence permit? Not business permit, not work permit. Who can afford a $250,000 residence permit? And who would want to spend that in Ghana? Is Ghana proposing a rich type of people to come to Ghana because they aren't satisfied with the class of diasporans who have come to Ghana? Is this simply an attack on the non-African foreigners who are evading taxes, money laundering, charging in dollars, running monopolies, and doing strategic trading amongst other non-African wholesalers and business people? Honestly, I genuinely think that the video only went out because I feel that the government wanted people to react. They wanted to see how people felt. I personally feel like the purpose of the video was to rile people up, to see what people would say, to see what type of reaction they would get. And I find it to be a bit petty and kind of unprofessional, honestly. I feel like if you can have a ceremony of 720 people getting citizenship of Black descent, and then have a ceremony of 200 or so non-African foreigners also receiving citizenship in a separate ceremony. I think that if you can get that many people together to talk about something, you could get those same people who just got citizenship and could have had a conference and a conversation with them there. I just find it a little disingenuous to have this conversation on video just for it to go out onto social media like this isn't a government video. I do wish that some of these conversations were like handled a lot better and a lot more professionally, because we're talking about people's lives and people's livelihoods, and all of our lives are not at the value of $250,000. And I really wish that this obsession with they have money, I really wish that this obsession with people who have money would just really, really die out, because I'm just noticing how there's a lot of dismissal on how we make money, how we have money, as if we're not working hard for that money, and I don't know a person who is willing to work their ass off and come to Ghana to give somebody $250,000 just to live here. And that money doesn't go towards a house, a business. You just want somebody to pay $250,000 for a residence permit? I mean, if you don't want people in your country, just say you don't want people in your country, but don't come online and say, oh, let's think about charging $250,000. If you don't want people in your country, I would respect it so much more if you just say, we don't really want y'all here because the year of return, we thought we would make more money off of y'all, and it doesn't look like we're making enough. I rather that passive aggressive culture that people do here. Don't do passive aggressive with me. If y'all don't really want people here, just say it. And then when you get the people who want to spend $250,000 and they come to your country with a list of demands, and they come to your country with a government backing, with a government that is going to bully your government because you're charging people $250,000, my whole thing is don't complain. That's my thing. My thing is, I want y'all to do the $250,000. I will vote. I want y'all to do that. My thing is the type of people that will come to your country because of that, don't complain. And then when other countries maneuver a certain type of way and they start making things more difficult for your citizens to go into their countries, don't complain. Don't start complaining. Don't start complaining all of a sudden. That's my thing. Because you can do whatever you want to, but understand that there's going to be consequences. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think that this is something that could possibly happen? Do you guys think that it should happen? Do you guys think that Ghana has the right to do this? Do you think that it should only be for non-African foreigners? Or do you think that the diaspora should also be forced to possibly pay this? It definitely does not help for the people who feel that year of return was just a money grab and it was never about actually reconnecting. It was never about re-educating. A lot of people already feel that way. And I don't know if something like this is going to make them feel any better. I think that this type of proposal kind of solidifies for a lot of people that maybe it was never about a connection. Maybe it was just simply about, let's see how much money we can get out of this using emotional trauma marketing. That's what it seems like. But I would love to know how you guys feel, and I would love to know what you guys think. And if you have any political suggestions, definitely leave them in the comment section below. And I'm going to leave you guys with that. Until next time.